Good afternoon, Greg. Thank you so much for joining us today. My first question to you is, what do you like about your work?
Thanks for that, Tom. So my name's Gregg Arundel. I'm a senior digital product manager working for Barclays Bank. I'm based in the northeast of England, albeit I'm location dependent. So I am an alumni of Southmoor School in Sunderland, and I still live in Sunderland. I live about 3.5 miles from the school, so it's very local to me still. I pass it very often on my walk. And what do I like about my work? So the job role I do with it in the bank is very much customer orientated. So I am very passionate about customer experience, user experience, making sure that customers can digitally do what they want to do and make their lives as easy as possible, doing what they want to do with regards to their banking. So I'll refer to banking because obviously Barclays is a bank and I've worked there for 15 years. Primarily, my full adult working life has been at Barclays. And in terms of being customer obsessed, you think about anybody in the UK who has a bank account, whether they're with Barclays or not, there's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of people now, their lives are a lot different in this day and age versus how it used to be even 15 years ago when I started at Barclays, and everything surrounds digital, and Barclays have a digital first strategy, and that's what I love about working as a senior digital product manager. My role in terms of making their bank accounts for customers more accessible, giving them rich data about what they're spending their money on, how much money they've got to spend and where money's coming from, etc. I work in the balance and transactions team, which is a core part of Barclays, both from a digital perspective in the app, but also in branches, etc. So it's quite a senior role that I do, but I love having the impact on the customers. And when you see adverts on the telly that you will see at the moment, which is the Barclays Moneyverse advert, and if you haven't seen it, I'd encourage you to go on YouTube and have a look at it. The screens that are featured on that are the screens that I own in the Barclays app. Wow. So it's quite a cool thing, and it's really exciting to be involved in. But for me, I'm not a techie guy. I'm a product guy. I'm a customer experience guy. But I work with a lot of tech teams to make sure that the features that we deliver end to end, so from an idea in my head, concept, right the way through to consumption, where customers using that feature in their hands, it's making their lives better. And I build the business cases in and around that to make sure that I get the funding to be able to deliver that value into customers' hands. So that's what I love about my job.
How did you start?
So how did I start out? It's an interesting journey I had. So I was at Southmoor until the age of 16, obviously left, loved school, absolutely, it was favorite part of my life, no bills, no commitments, very carefree. But when I left Southmoor, I went to the City of Sunderland College on 2 different campuses, to Bede campus and Shiny Road campus as it was, which is no longer there. And I decided to do several AS levels and then A levels as well, which I loved and I did very well at. I was quite academically on the money, if you like, but I just come after that 2 years of doing A levels, I just got tired of education. I wanted to get my hands dirty and really start to experience business. And one of the topics I did cover at A level and AS level was business studies. And I had a real sort of passion around finance and things like that. And I looked at lots of different options. One of the options was to go to university. And I actually got accepted onto a course at Northumbria University to do a course. I can't remember what the name of the course was, something like cultural something or the other. I can't remember, I do apologize, it's a mind blank. But basically, that course was geared towards media. So it was a little bit of a different route, but I fancied myself as a little bit of a Sky Sports News reporter. As you can tell, I'm still hanging on to that dream by having the the headphones on in this call. But yeah, so but then once I got accepted to Northumbria, I got sick of education. I decided to take a gap year, and on that gap year, like all people who want to take a gap year, they have lots of ideas of how they would like that gap year to go. Do some traveling and do whatever. I know people sometimes do gap years when they're at university and do all that stuff. But basically, when I told my parents, they that's a great idea, Greg. That's fine. How are you going to afford to do all of that? And that was the kind of sticking point. So what happened from there was I went out and I got a job. So I played cricket to quite a high level. I still do play a lot of cricket as well. And I became a coach for Durham Cricket Board, where I went into local schools, coached children, got a real passion for coaching, passing on knowledge, etc., getting the best out of others, and added to sort of leadership skills and qualities. And then that was only on an afternoon. And I had an opportunity to then start working in Barclays call center on a morning. And what happened with that one was I worked 9 till 1 or 8 till 12 at Barclays, and then I went off and did the cricket coaching. And then sort of 9 months into that, that sort of sequence of events, Northumbria Uni came knocking on the door and said, look, are you gonna come back? Are you gonna go in the first place, I guess? And I had the taste of work and life, and I really had to analyze and evaluate my circumstances at the time. Not going to university at that time was not the done thing. Most of my friends were at university. I'd been earning a wage and not great wage by any stretch of the imagination, but it was good, and I'd had the money. I thought, I'm just going to look at other options, and I decided not to go back to university. And at that point, I was like, I really want to develop my career with Barclays. I love what I do in banking. It's a really exciting place to work. Big blue chip company. Big presence in the Northeast with a lot of career opportunities. And I got myself onto what was known as an accredited training program. So I became, and this is where my coaching and leadership skills tied in, I became an accredited trainer. So I wasn't a full-blown trainer or training consultant where I train new starters, etc. I was pulled in and every now and then to do that for a 12-month period on a secondment. But that program gave me the skill set to then become a fully blown trainer at the next pay grade up, etc. within that 12-month period. And that kind of set my career off in learning development. So I worked in learning development for about 10 years in a lot of different roles. And that was from training to training consultancy to training design consultancy, and then right the way through into digital curriculum management. And that then led me into digital banking, which is obviously the world that I work in today. 15 years down the line, I did not to be at Barclays, I'll be honest with you. I originally joined for 12 months and here I am 15 years down the line. So it's very funny the way things work out. But just goes to prove that I didn't need a degree to do what I needed to do. And very lucky to have got a lot of professional training at Barclays, lots of qualifications through what I've done at Barclays. And I think now even more so than ever, especially looking at how Barclays run their apprenticeship programs, their undergraduate programs, their postgraduate programs, etc. Going to university is not necessarily the be all end all. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are capping yourself to your earning potential, for example. So my next career step is to become a head of digital banking. So I'm one step away from that. I'm actually on a career plan to become a head of. And from there, you've got to look at things like directors' roles and so on, So I'm in a very lucky position that in this digital world, I work location dependent. But my primary role is based in Canary Wharf in London. So I do in a non-pandemic world, I get to London once every 2 weeks, and then I visit our tech centre the weeks I'm not in London, which is in Cheshire, at Radbrook Hall, and that's where our tech guys, dev guys, iOS, Android testers, etc., all sit. And from my perspective, very exciting because I get to go to different sites, visit different people, and it kind of harks back to getting started in that I have a passion for helping other people, from my coaching background, leadership side of things, and then a passion for customers and Joe Public and making their lives easier, being that customer obsession. And it's kind of been a common theme and a common thread right throughout my career. So very lucky to have basically a London job and be able to work independently, digitally across the UK.
Wow, thank you very much for that. That's superb. Lastly, what would you say to someone starting out today?
So I think for me, always be yourself and be unique. Passion and enthusiasm for something always comes through, and try to love what you do. Okay, so whether you are doing something that is your passion, whether you're a baker, whether you are a banker, whether you are a gardener, whether you are a retail manager or a retail assistant, have something that you enjoy. Now, that might be the people you work with. It might be your passion for what you're doing. So if you are working in the gaming industry, for example, you're working in a game store to selling game. If you're passionate about games, then perfect. And I got a piece of advice when I was at Southmere, actually. So I was deputy head boy. I was on the student council, and there's a guy that came in to talk to us called Sir Tom Cowie. Now, those who are at Southmere students will know that name. Whether they know who the individual is another matter. But so Tom Cowie at the time was still alive, but he's a local entrepreneur and businessman. He used to own Sunderland Football Club once upon a time, Arriva buses, Cowie's Ford, etc. Multi-millionaire. And he came in, and I got the opportunity to interview him because he donated some money to the school. And I asked him what was the secret of his success. And he said, 2 words, Greg: job satisfaction. If you are satisfied with what you're doing, whatever that may be, and you've got job satisfaction, and you can get out of bed in the morning and look forward to what you're doing, then you're winning. So that's always stayed with me. And I have got job satisfaction. I've been very lucky to find a career and a company where I've been there for 15 years. But that's not to say that I'll be there forever. I might be, I might not be. There's lots of other organizations out there that do the career that I'm in, etc. So I can potentially go and work elsewhere, but if you think that a career that you've got yourself into is maybe not necessarily for you, and you want a career change, then there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. You've got passion or enthusiasm for something else, and you want to work hard and you're dedicated, then go out and do it. The world's your oyster. And the other thing I would say as well, finally, just to sum up, I'm coming back to the university thing a little bit. When I was growing up, university in sort of the early 2000s was viewed as the next step out of full-time education, as in school, sixth form or college, and then into university. Now, there are so many different schemes for other young people to get involved with. There are unbelievable apprenticeship programs. There are higher apprenticeship programs for those people who maybe are mid-30s and want a career change to move across. There are undergraduate programs to mean that you don't have to go to university, or you go to university while you're doing the job. There are postgraduate programs. There's so many different opportunities to get into the career that you want to get into. And all I would say to somebody is seek out those opportunities. So whatever you're passionate about, make sure you are aware of all the opportunities that are available to you, and do your due diligence and understand what is out there before you then make your decision.